Always good to have a guy in chat saying they were rooting for you to lose. How's that feel?
Dang, it really be like that sometimes.
Yeah, I hate to see it.
2-second underdog.
Alright, so this is Undertale, this is Genocide, we kill the things, that's how it works.
Yeah, you kill... there's 4 areas in the game. You kill 20 in the first area, 60 in the second, 18 in the third, and 40 in the last one. And, yeah. It's just a bunch of grinding, and there's RNG involved with it, so it's a very RNG-heavy category. But later on into the run, you can sort of make it more skill-based.
It is much more than just grinding, how dare you.
I mean, yeah, but I prefer. I'd say this is my favorite category because it's the most combat-based category. Why are we doing a genocide? This is like, I think it's our 3rd or 4th tournament. All the other ones we've done like neutral and 2 pacifists, so we're finally doing a genocide tournament.
Because variety is the spice of life, and variety is the name of this category. Just kidding. Though, I mean, this is a very indeterminate category, kind of as Silver alludes to. There's a lot of RNG involved in this category, so there's a lot of on-the-spot decision-making that a runner needs to be able to make, just depending on how things appear. The first encounter that we get here, this Frogger, is always the same, and you have 1 turn to try and get the kill. You really want to get this kill for the level up, since your level does contribute towards your attack stat and decides the quality of hits that you can use later on in the Ruins grind for 2-shotting Froggets.
It actually is.
If you're exceptionally lucky, you can not get any Froggets, but you would need to be stupidly lucky for that.
That first Frogget, you can actually not kill it even with the perfect hit if you have bad damage rolls.
Yeah, it's a little irritating that the RNG can potentially screw you out of getting even just that kill.
And in a tournament race like this, it can be really detrimental.
As can getting single mold small encounters at the end of the grind, though. No one's ever gotten those before.
Nah, nobody's got those, not even me. I've never, ever got one. It's not like in the last SpeedGaming race for Genocide I got 3 of them or anything.
So this is where the grind begins. So the start of the run is going to see the runners alternating between the rooms and getting an encounter each time. The encounters in this game are tied to a step counter, just, the more you move around, the quicker you'll get an encounter. And resetting the step counter by transitioning to a different room makes it easier to get follow-up encounters, since there's a lot of variables that determine how you get encounters, especially after a first encounter. So we just want to reset the step counter as much as possible and keep getting encounters like this as quickly as possible. There's 2 encounters that you can get at the start of Ruins, Frogget and Whimsun. Frogget is a 66% chance, and Whimsun is a 1 in 3 chance. Whimsun being a lot faster, so nhaar's having a pretty good time here so far.
On Frogget, you can actually get an attack that skips like the attack animation that Frogget does, where if you just run into it. So Frogget is usually slow, but you can make it sort of fast, although still being slower than being able to one-shot a Whimsun.
Yeah, you can mitigate the time loss slightly, as it were. Seeing a lot of Whimsuns right now. This is not too bad. Wish I could get this RNG in runs.
Yeah, same. The only time I've ever gotten 10 Whimsuns in a row, the run died on Undyne.
Wow. So, unlike most of the other areas in the game as well, the grind for Ruins is divided into 2 different sections. You're going to get the first 13 kills in these couple of rooms here before moving on to the triple rock room. And the reason we do this is that the encounter rate in this game is not static. It basically exponentially decreases the more kills you have. So after you've had a lot of kills, it takes quite a while to get encounters. And at a certain point, it becomes faster to get more than 1 enemy per encounter, which we can only get in a later room. So once there's 7 left, we transition to the triple rock room to hopefully get the right combination of double and or triple encounters to get through in a relatively fast fashion. The worst case scenario is basically what was seen in the previous race, where Silver actually got multiple single mode small encounters, and especially at the end of the grind, that wastes a lot of time and there's nothing the runner can do about it.
It's actually, if you get a single at 18 kills when you need 20, it's actually faster just to flee and try getting a different encounter, because how long it takes to get an encounter at 19 kills.
It's faster assuming that you don't get another single mold small
Yeah.
is the thing.
Yeah.
And personally, in a race setting, I wouldn't want to take that risk. Alright, so nhaar moving on now. He's going to get the next encounter in this room with a single rock. He's just going to grind for another encounter just before leaving this room.
nhaar didn't actually talk to the sign on the top of the room. There's a sign, and if you talk to the sign, it actually makes it so you can skip the third tutorial text box, which makes it's a tiny bit faster because you're just mashing through less text boxes.
Yeah, you've just got to then avoid talking to the sign a second time since you're just mashing the keys as quickly as possible. So here you go, the triple rock room. Slightly faster to talk to it from the right so that it actually physically pushes you along. And then this is the more important part of the grind in my opinion. It almost doesn't matter how well the first half of the grind goes if this goes badly. The best case scenario is, like this triple mole small encounter, this isn't too bad. Like I say, you just really want to avoid the single mole smalls if possible. The best encounter you can generally get here is the Frogget plus Whimsun. You can dispatch the Whimsun very quickly, and then if you get a couple of frog skips, then it's overall a very quick encounter to get. It's just not reliable. Like I say, it's all random.
Yeah, the best RNG you can get on the second half is 2 Froggets and Whimsuns, and then ending on a triple multiple. If you get a triple multiple first, it's okay, but the reason why you want to get the triple last is because you're at 17 kills instead of 18 kills, which just makes getting the last encounter faster.
Yeah. It's not a huge difference, but it's preferable. If you got any permutation of like those 3 encounters, though, that's still very, very good RNG.
Wait, did Radu get a single mold?
I believe so.
Oh.
And taking 3 turns to kill it by the looks of it.
Oh.
Another triple. Wow, this is weird. So I can only assume here that nhaar is going to take only 2 of these, and then hope to get another at least double encounter for the next encounter. I just really hope that if that's what happens, that it's a gamble that pays off and that he doesn't get the single mold.
There's a lot of like on-the-fly routing you can do with the encounters, as Draco stated earlier, and you just gotta know which like is like the best thing you can do at that exact time. This is really prominent out in Waterfall, I would say, as you can do things from like fleeing from errands and just it's mainly just fleeing from errands, which is an encounter you can 2-shot, while all the other encounters in Waterfall you can 1-shot. You'll see this later in the run.
Radu getting some nice encounters, but the menuing at the start of that fight, not ideal. Pretty much, when you get into this area, you always want to start the fights by doing Z down Z, because if you get anything that's not a Frog or Whimsun, it won't select the wrong target. But not selecting the Whimsun at the start of that fight does lose a bit of time.
Also, nhaar got another triple multiple here.
Yeah, so it's not the fastest encounter, but it'll definitely take it, as it does allow the grind to finish on this encounter.
Yep. And then nhaar will be sparing the last multiple, I believe, and this will be ending the grind.
So 820, 821 finishing the grind. I've got my splits up for comparison. That's about 30 seconds behind my PB. Bearing in mind that my PB is a 106, so still potential for this pace to be very good by the end of the game. Potentially. We'll see.
So now that the kill counters are depleted, every time you go into a room, the but nobody came is going to pop up, which just means you depleted the depleted all the, what's it called?
The kills.
Yeah.
You made them die. And yeah, it's just basic reaching the next objective as fast as possible. Now get from point A to point B to point C. It's the most fundamental of movement here. And menuing. Gotta make sure to get that switch.
So this right here is going to be Toriel's house, which is just mashing. And yeah, it's just a lot of mashing through this area.
at this point in the run, the runners can choose to pick up the pie. It costs a few seconds to do so, but most high-level Genocide runners forgo getting the pie altogether. A lot of runners end up getting the instant noodles as a byproduct of doing the early pan glitch, and a lot of runners just prefer to use that one heal at the halfway point of the Sans fight if they really need a heal.
Or just not heal at all, because it's faster if you just don't menu healing items.
Exactly. But if you desperately need it, then that's the fastest way that it can be done. Just get the instant noodles and then use them at the halfway point. So a detail that hasn't really been brought up so far in this race is the tech smashing between the runners. Across all categories of Undertale, tech smashing is one of the main deciding factors that will, over the course of a run, slowly influence your pace. Like, it can add or save a lot of time depending on how good your tech smashing is. The runners are using like variants of the Z and X keys to progress through text boxes. There's mirroring keys that the right hand can use in enter and right shift to try and accelerate the process, but developing a good technique and rhythm for using the input combinations quickly does make a lot of difference between how optimal one's tech smashing is. With completely optimal tech smashing, you can go like as fast as 15 text boxes per second, since that's as fast as the game is really going to be able to pull as a 30 FPS game, but it's very, very uncommon to see numbers that high.
There's 2 runners that can get those text boxes pretty consistently, though, being Samuel and Shay.
It's a significant advantage to be able to go that fast. Personally, I'm happy to be able to get like 10, 11 text boxes per second. I'm really slow at it. I'm relatively consistent at the speeds that I pull, but it's not the fastest speeds.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I can run like 10, 11, 12, and I'm just kind of happy with getting those, because you don't need to go extremely fast to still get good times. Oh, nhaar going for a swag walk here.
Yeah, doesn't do anything, but it looks nice.
So this is going to be Snowden. Now, the kill counter for this area, as I stated, is 16. What you want to be doing for this area is you're just going to be getting a lot of singles for the first bit of this area. But then later on, you're going to want to be getting doubles up until 10 kills. And then when you get a double in this area, you're going to want to be fleeing from the encounters, because the second encounter in the double doesn't attack, but it's like really tanky, so you just want to spare it. Also, the beginning of Snowden has a lot of mashing through Sans Undertale's text.
It's also going to be the spot where the runners get their first weapon upgrade. There's an optional weapon in Ruins that we just skip because it's just not faster to obtain, but the Tough Glove in the box here is much faster to obtain. It's an appreciable power boost up from the stick. So now, Snowden is a pretty interesting area. It's a bit of an anomaly compared to the other areas, in that we don't take the theoretically optimal approach to doing the grind in this area. We do the entire grind at the end of the area, but theoretically with perfect RNG, it would be faster to segment the grind like we do in Ruins. It's just that you would need to get a lot of ice cap encounters at the start, which are all coin flips, and each one that you don't get would lose some time, since Snowdrake is a 2-hit kill. Speaking of bad RNG, the phone call there is a flat 10% chance depending on a hidden value that the game doesn't really display to you called the fun value. That's just a 10% chance to get a phone call at waste time, and nhaar got it. Very nice. But as it is, like I say, we do take the quote-unquote suboptimal grind in Snowden since it's at least reliable. And it would only save time in that it makes a couple of the following mini-boss fights take 1 turn less if you get good damage rolls, so it's not very reliable at all.
Also, there's going to be some bosses in Snowden, like Doggo, as you just seen from nhaar. And there's going to be the dog marriage, which is just 2 dogs. Those... Oh, yeah, there's also Greater Dog at the end. They don't actually count towards the kill counter.
Yes.
And only, like, static encounter, not static. Just encounters that appear are the ones that count. I said static because I was thinking of the first 3, which are static encounters.
So the kill counter for Snowden is 16. In most cases, the runner is going to basically reach the grind spot with, I think, 11 or 10 left. I could be wrong there. It might be 12, 11, or 11, 10. It's basically that. At this screen with nhaar, this is the first opportunity to get an actual random encounter, and there's 2 encounters that the runners are going to be getting here, either Ice Cap and Jerry or Ice Cap, Childrake and Jerry. For the most part, we never want to kill Jerry, given the choice. And at the start of the grind like this, it's a little better to get just Ice Cap and Jerry, because the time spent waiting to be able to kill Childrake is quite considerable. While Jerry is on screen, enemy attack animations take a couple seconds longer to finish, and since Childrake is a 2-hit kill, you need to sit through 2 of these longer animations. It's nice to get an extra kill per encounter, but since the encounter rate is high enough while you have relatively few kills, it's a little faster for the first half of it to just get Ice Cap and Jerry.
You don't want to be getting Ice Caps and Jerrys until you're at 10 kills. As at that point, getting Ice Cap Jerry would it's just faster up until 10 kills because of the step counters. Dog marriage here does not count. Also, it's faster to kill the right one first, as if you kill the right one, the one on the left just gets 1 shot if you kill the one on the right first. I think it saves a full turn. And some...
Yeah, because otherwise the male dog would be a 3-hit kill as well.
Also, some differences between the Genocide route and the neutral/pacifist route. All the puzzles here, you don't have to do them. You just walk through all the puzzles.
Yeah, see, it's just an easier route. If you want to get through Undertale easily, just play Genocide. You don't have to do the puzzles.
Actually, fun fact about the...
Ooh, it's a narrow miss from nhaar. It is a fairly narrow spot that you need to hit there, but generally after entering from the screen, you can just go up slightly and you'll be in the right position to just slide across the ice there.
Yeah. A little fact is, it's actually, if you're playing like the neutral ending glitchless, it's actually faster to abort Genocide at the very end. It's faster by, I believe, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, because Hotland is a really, really long area.
Well, in Genocide, Hotland just takes like no time. Except, I guess, if you're actually grinding it out.
Like, neutral glitchless, no aborted Genocide is treated as a category extension, but it's like, I don't know, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, Genocide Hotlands is like around that time, I would say. I think that sounds about right. Well, if you do it without Genocide, there's like a bunch of like things that Metaton does. Also, on this greater dog fight that Radu is on, if you get an attack with like a dog at the bottom of the screen, if you touch the dog, it just skips the attack. I believe the attack is the dog barking at you, but I haven't seen the attack in so long that I have no idea what it actually is. And right here is where the actual grind starts. What you see nhaar doing here is just moving up and down beside the door. Instead of wall humping at the top, as it's called, you just sort of go up and down because you stay beside the door, so it's easier to go and leave.
Yeah, it's just a little more optimal to stay right next to the loading zone so that you can basically room transition on the frame that you actually regain control on the map.
Radu is going up to the very top of the room. That's like sort of unoptimal as you lose like a few frames after each encounter.
Now, I'm not going to be able to keep track exactly of each runner's kill count as they're going through this, since I'm looking at 2 feeds and, you know, I'm not paying that close attention. But one thing that we can do pretty much unique to Snowdin is it's generally possible to gauge how far through the grind someone is just based on the music, since the encounters do get progressively more spread out as more kills have been racked up. You can generally tell how close to the end of a grind someone is, like at the last few kills, simply just by when they get the encounter. So I'm going to be doing that in a few encounters time and make a prediction on how many kills are remaining and what the runner's strategy is during the current fight. I did it during the previous race, so it's like, yeah, it's fun to do that. I like doing it. And of course I'm going to have to do it on nhaar's side, being that's where the audio is. Can't quite gauge it without audio.
Unless you just pay attention to how much time it's been, but it's kind of hard.
A lot tougher though, yeah. Now, the best case scenario for the runners here is that they're gonna not have to take care of Jerry, but it's basically a coin flip. There's a lot of different situations they can be in for a potential end of grind, but they all involve a 50% chance of you either have to kill Jerry or you don't kill Jerry.
nhaar had to do an extra turn by attacking Jerry on accident.
Yeah, it's possible to get, we just call it menu glitched, I believe. After you have used an attack and the enemies are talking just before their own attack starts, the game actually still behaves as though you have control in the menus. So if you use directional buttons, it basically shifts your cursor on the enemy menu, and then if you reflexively just double Z input on your next turn, it can cause you to select the wrong enemy.
If you were to kill Jerry here, it would be in a Jerry Jerry Ice Cap encounter at 14 kills, or a Jerry Snowdrake and Ice Cap encounter at 13 kills. That's the only time you actually kill a Jerry.
It can put you in a tricky situation with, like, if you have nice movement there, taking the extra time. If you have, say, 4 kills remaining, and then you get a triple encounter, or say even, no, sorry, a better example would be a double encounter with an Ice Cap, a Jerry, puts you in an awkward situation where it's like, okay, do you want to take the 2 kills to have 2 remaining, or do you want to just take nothing but the Ice Cap and then hope to get a triple on the next encounter? It can be difficult to make these calls. Okay, so based on the music, this is, I believe, 2 remaining. So I believe what we're going to see here is going for Jerry.
Yep.
There we go. I'm telling you, I always know when it happens.
So this is how long Jerry takes to kill. You only do 10 damage to him, and do you know how much health Jerry has?
He's done 68 damage right now. 77, so probably 80 by the looks of it. So I assume with 8 perfect hits dealing 10 damage each, and I believe it is still a damage roll even with perfect accuracy, may be able to save a turn on Jerry, but it's very, very negligible time save. Radu also going in with the Jerry kill, which is a little unfortunate that they both have to deal with killing Jerry, but it's better than the alternative, which is to spare Jerry and then grind for another encounter, which at 1 kill remaining takes a long time to get.
So this right here is going to be Papyrus, the hardest boss in the game by far.
Oh yeah, for sure. There you go.
Except in Genocide, where you one-shot Papyrus.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen a runner beat Papyrus in a neutral run.
Does an all endings run count?
I mean, maybe. Possibly.
So 2351 Snowdin. That's kind of okay. It could have been better though.
Alright, so let's see if the little frame save is used by nhaar. Terrible. Terrible. No one does this.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Moving up against the wall so that the camera scrolls up a bit. It makes it take less frames when it's scrolling there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I always just wall hump on everything, so I probably got it.
Yeah, during the race I noticed that you did do it, but I mean, if it's not on purpose, you still did it, so still faster. I'm pretty confident it's faster anyway. It won't be slower. So, Waterfall is, I would say, overall, it's a less volatile area for RNG, but there is definitely more execution time save, or time loss rather, that can be gotten in this area through the couple of chase sections with Undyne.
And her picking up a flower for some reason.
Yeah, and choosing to escape from an encounter there. That Aaron is a scripted encounter, and since it's a 2-hit kill, at least, it's simply faster to bypass that encounter entirely. Although people do tend to take this Washua encounter, even though it is also a 2-hit kill.
It's like a half a second faster to kill the Washua, so you're gonna kill one of them, you wanna kill the Washua.
There we go. So here comes the first Undyne chase sequence, as I mentioned. There's a little bit of technique in going quick here. You can, within reason, you can always move through this section without slowing down, but it can be a little intimidating with how the spears approach you. The hitbox on the character is a little bit displaced. The top of the head doesn't really have a solid hitbox, but it does extend a little past the bottoms of the feet, it seems. So if you're going to misdirect these spears in one direction, you generally want to try and send them high, like that. You can see that it basically passed through the top of nhaar's head, but didn't deal any damage. That's pretty reliable, and then accidentally taking a hit on the bottom there. So that's a little unfortunate, but it's not a massive time loss as long as that doesn't happen multiple times. And Radu's going to be coming up on the same segment here. It's actually a pretty decent section for Radu so far. Hesitated a little on one of the corners, but it's definitely not the worst. And then, oof, nice dodge. I mean, this is a discussion topic that people bring up a lot, but I do think the Sans fight is considerably harder than the Undyne fight. The Undyne fight is just 95% pattern recognition and just avoiding scripted attacks. There is not very much randomness in the Undyne fight at all.
You could probably do the exact same inputs on every Undyne fight and it would look the same. Well, there's like some RNG on certain attacks.
There's a couple of random attacks, yeah, but by and large, you can use the same strategy on every attempt.
Oh, and her throwing her the stick like an epic gamer.
That's a bad meme.
Darn.
So, the double mold small encounter was scripted, but this encounter that he's about to get is not scripted, and depending on what he gets, single Aaron.
See, that's the worst one. You can either get another double multiple, a single Washua Aaron, or just a single Aaron, which is the worst one to get.
Yeah. I personally wait to see what encounter I've got there, because if it's a single Aaron, I actually don't take this encounter, I just skip it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And sometimes if I get the Washua Aaron, I'll just flee the Aaron. Still, even after I kill the Washua.
There is certainly hope for Radu to catch up, in that there is still a lot of RNG left in the run, yes. Although, I mean, if I had to make a judgment call just looking at the runners, nhaar is generally playing better, I would say. But, you know, we'll see. Anything can happen. A very nasty accident could happen on Sans. Someone could get rotten RNG in core. Like, there's a lot that can happen. It's far too early to call.
And also Radu getting good RNG here with the double multiple encounter. Also, earlier the runners picked up the ballet shoes, which is the next weapon upgrade in the run. The ballet shoes can one-shot everything in Waterfall except Aaron. Aaron is still 2-shot.
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting that a perfect hit on Aaron at level 10 is still not enough to one-hit kill it. It's awful.
In this room nhaar's in, if you hold up, down, and right, it actually makes you walk through the room at like double speed. It's an interesting bug.
It would be handy if that worked everywhere in the game. It would make the game considerably faster.
Undertale sprint button.
Yeah, like if only Undertale had the wrist protector like Deltarune has. I would legitimately prefer this as a speed game if it had the same mechanic.
So right here, nhaar's coming up with the spears too. During this section, the spears come up depending on like how you're positioned. So you can actually like manipulate the spears to come up like basically wherever you want them if you're holding down arrow key like up against a wall. So you'll see nhaar doing this right here really soon. See nhaar's going up, so it's making the spears spawn up.
Yeah, they read your inputs essentially, and they try and block where you're currently walking towards on the frame that they get generated, but it makes it very easy to misdirect them. With perfect movement here, a runner can, again, theoretically a runner can get through this section completely reliably with no frames and wasted movement, but it's very tight to do that. And unfortunately, I'm kind of surprised that nhaar got contacted by the spear when he did that. That looked really close. Just taking it safe there. That's really bad RNG. Fun fact as well on that previous screen, if you just hang around there and don't progress, the spears get progressively faster and faster, and it can be fun to just try to see how long you can survive there, because they get incredibly difficult to avoid if you leave them long enough. It didn't appear going through that section that Radu was trying to manipulate the spear locations though, which does unfortunately leave it up to chance whether you actually get a clean path through the area. Now, okay, one thing I will say about the Undyne versus Sans argument, one of my friends who I watched them do a blind play of, they actually nearly beat Undyne the Undying on a blind attempt, which was very impressive. So I imagine there are probably some people out there who have beaten Undyne the Undying on their first try somehow, but I would be very surprised if there is anyone who has beaten Sans on their first attempt, not having seen the fight before. I don't think there's anyone who's probably first tried Sans on a blind attempt. At least, I don't know of anyone who's done it.
The Temmie and Galad dummy encounters, they're always one-shot, basically, but if you actually mash fast enough, they don't die, which is interesting.
Yeah, because it's possible to do less than 5 HP of damage. The damage dispersion on the Bal issues is just that wide. The perfect shot that nhaar got on the Mold Big as well, very well placed. Mold Big is actually not trivial to get a one-shot kill on. You need a relatively accurate hit to do at least 70 damage, or you actually don't get a one-hit kill there.
You can get like somewhere between 65 to 69 pretty often on those if you don't hit well enough.
The level up to 10 here, though, does make it considerably more forgiving to get a one-shot on Mold Big.
Washawa is usually really easy to always one-shot though.
Oh yes.
The most optimal encounter you can get here is just always Washawa with Mold Bigs, as you can two-turn the fight. Well, you have to three-turn Mold Big or Washawa errands.
And that's one of them, and unfortunately this is random at this point, so not perfect RNG. This is going to be a weird instance, though, where in the previous areas we've been talking about how the runners ideally want to avoid being on one enemy left by the end of the grind if they can help it. It's actually preferable to end up on one left in Waterfall because the final room of the area is so long that we can progress through all of it and not actually waste time waiting for an encounter. And at that point, if we then get a single Temmie, it is the best possible result to get, though it's a very small chance for it to happen.
I think nhaar is going to be at 17 here. Or 16, I'm not too sure.
He actually needs to be a little careful with his HP, I'm not going to lie. And ideally hope that he's not at 16 because, well, okay, let me rephrase this. If he does get the quote-unquote best RNG with a single Temmie, I hope he's not at 16. Okay, from where he got the encounter, that looks like 16 to me, so I think he's going to take this Aaron.
Yeah. Oh.
No, okay, he must... Alright, that surprises me with where he got the encounter. I thought he'd been at 16, though.
It's usually a range where you get the encounter, so... There's been like a really early range for it.
Yeah.
So nhaar is done with Waterfall, and now has to go fight Undyne.
I only say that being at 16 could have been bad because it would mean there's 2 kills left, and it is possible to get a single encounter in Waterfall. So, with 17 left, you don't lose time because you'll still generally get the encounter before you reach the end of the room, and then there's no chance for you to get screwed by RNG and get fewer kills than you need to finish the grind. And now, yeah, Undyne the Undying, this fight is quite a doozy. It's one of the 2 fights in the category that is actually a challenging fight, and there's quite a bit going on in this fight. It's generally assumed at a high level that runners are going to be able to manage with the fight. Like, we don't worry about runners dying or needing to really heal in the fight, which is convenient because the objective of this fight for a speedrun is to finish it as soon as possible. We want to get what is known as the quick kill, which is finishing the fight within 14 turns. Undyne has 23,000 HP, and your hits, depending on quality, there can be, you know, decent hits anywhere from like 1550 for a decent hit to 1750 for a perfect hit. We need to average basically 1650 damage per hit to be on pace for the quick kill. And if the runner takes any turns out to heal at any point in the fight, it's basically guaranteed that you're not going to get the quick kill. So to do this quickly, you need to be able to reliably and consistently do this fight, and to a very high degree of accuracy. You cannot afford to miss many perfect hits here. And with the ballet shoes, each of these perfect central hits is a 2-frame window, or a 15th of a second.
Basically, every single attack in this fight is scripted, so at like high level, you're just remembering what inputs you have to do, and it's fairly easy. There are some attacks that can be different depending on where like you are, but you can basically make the attack always the same if you do the exact same thing every time.
I'm waiting to see that no-hit Undyne fight though. Like, I'm always a little disappointed when an Undyne isn't a no-hit, at least for myself. Obviously, I'm not going to try and hold anyone else to the necessarily same standards, but ideally you'd still like to be able to get a no-hit, since I believe it is actually slightly faster for the fight and not taking any damage.
It's faster to no-hit the whole run technically because you're not using your time up to heal. Oh, there's nhaar getting hit.
What I specifically mean is that I've heard that, I haven't really noticed this myself, but I've heard that after you take damage in this fight, the attacks become slightly slower.
Oh, really?
I think so.
That's
So,
the case for regular.
to avoid all damage in this fight is apparently slightly faster. Again, I haven't actually noticed if it's any slower, but that's what I've heard. People taking these more complicated ways of avoiding the spiraling attack, which is like a lot of people think that's the most difficult attack in the fight to avoid. And I mean, to be fair, it's pretty disorienting, but there are very, very simple mechanical ways to avoid that attack, namely just using nothing but left inputs.
The way I do it is I just kind of wait for it to come down, then just kind of go through the little areas. It's pretty easy.
With one more, yeah, this is the last opportunity for nhaar to get a quick kill, and with a perfect hit, he might be on pace. I don't know. It's close though. Well, yeah, alright then. Well, that's unfortunate. You'll see a lot of runners being in this position where they're close to having a quick kill, but it's not quite enough. As I say, it's very unforgiving to get a quick kill.
Yeah. The getting quick kill just skips the slowest attack, and also if you're almost like really close to quick kill, you can do there like nhaar did. It's just mash for the last attack, and it'll kill Undyne.
Yeah, you'll generally always deal at least a few hundred damage to Undyne with an attack, no matter how good or bad it is.
It saves a few frames, so it's worth it, I guess.
I just can't wait to construct the Geno task and have this fight be like, get probably like 12 perfect hits and then get 2 awful last hits and have it be faster. Somehow. So one really hard boss down, one really hard boss to go. And Hotland is largely a joke of a section. I mean, it has the only notable glitch of the run, if the runners are going to go for it, in early pan. But for the most part, we just walk straight through Hotland onto core because they are treated as the same area for the kill requirement.
You enter the core with 35 kills out of 40, or yeah, 35 kills left, which you have to get 40 in the area of total. So right here is coming up early pan. What you do is you put yourself on the trigger and you interact with the dog food, or you can use the menu. Yeah, okay. So there's one frame where you can interact with the dog food as the cutscene is starting, basically, and it makes you have text over your screen, gives you like access to move around, and then you use the text box to overflow the fridge to give you the noodles and the pan. Which mainly you want the pan out of it, which it just skips getting the pan or the gun, which the gun you have to go to a shop to get, and the pan is just kind of out of the way, and the pan's pretty much better, although the gun is very nice. It's mostly the pan's more consistent because it's slower.
So with the ballet shoes equipped, Sunderplane is actually a pretty non-trivial one-shot kill, but with the pan it's much more forgiving. Just get a decent hit and nice quad. There we go. Sets the tone because you need a lot of these quad hits for core to go quickly. The pan is considerably harder than the shoes to hit accurately with, since it has 4 cursors, and the frame window for a frame perfect hit is it's frame perfect. It's 1 frame rather than 2 frames for the ballet shoes, so you need to hit 4 30th of a second windows to get a perfect hit with the pan, and that is necessary to one-shot some of the enemies in the core.
It's only 2 enemies, but with actual perfect RNG, you'll only ever see those enemies twice in the core, which is would be 4 frame perfect hits in a row. But in this run, you're probably never gonna see that, so you're gonna be able to. You're gonna need to know how to hit quads well. So Radu got threw away the stick for the wrong warp. Okay. Didn't even get the wrong warp. If you have a text box while you go out of a door, if you enter the transition and you mash away the text, it actually puts you in the default position of the room, which just moves you ahead a tiny bit and saves some time. It's mainly seen in the 80% run, as you can get an item that just makes it so you can open the item as you go through a door, and you can wrong warp all over the place. But you can't really do it in this run. You can do it twice in this run. One, you can do it in Snowden with an igloo overflow, and you do it once with the pan overflow there. Or text storage, it's not really an overflow. Although you have to overflow to get the skip anyway.
So Muffet is a very trivial fight, albeit you do still need to get a good hit to one-shotter but it is still just a one-shot fight.
I know there's a really long scene where a spider is sad, so this just takes up a lot of time.
Best opportunity in the run to just check your chat, really.
Yeah. Go say hi.
Alright, so the core grind.
It's
First
coming up.
9 kills of the core grind are entirely scripted. You're always going to get the same several encounters at the start, and you just take them all. They're not worth passing up, really. But after the first 9 kills, the encounters do come randomly, and it's safe to say that there are certain encounters that are far worse than others. You can get any combination of a couple of singular encounters to a couple of double encounters to a triple encounter. The triple encounter being universally very good to get. You're pretty much always happy to see the triple encounter.
The triple encounter, everything is one-shot in. Most of the doubles you can one-shot everything in, except Night Magic, a double. Night Magics you can one-shot, but you have to hit a quad, which is 4 frame-perfect inputs. And Astigmatism you have to hit a triple for, that's the eyeball guy. It has 120 health, and you get a triple hit to do that much. Although, if you're max level, you can not get a triple and still kill him. But by max level, I mean like Warrior's Path, which is the end.
Yeah, Astigmatism basically still requires a relatively decent shot to one-shot it. But Night Magic are the ones that you really need to worry about, since, as Silver said, nothing less than a perfect hit will one-shot Night Magic.
Also, yeah, Night Magics, I said you can hit a double, you can actually get single Night Magics, which are the very worst encounter in the whole area.
Yeah. Like, even with perfect accuracy, like getting a double Night Magic, you kind of groan at seeing it because you need the quadruple hit, but if you hit them, it's still just an average encounter. It's the same as getting the others. But for a single, you're still just getting 1 kill per encounter, which is just much slower. So unfortunately, this is going to be a 2-shot, and this is the scripted one we're talking about. So after this encounter is over, this is when the encounters are going to start being randomly generated, and nhaar is going to want to see as many combinations of doubles of regular enemies and triples as possible. As few Nights and Magics as possible, but the runner doesn't exactly have control over it.
The very best RNG you can get is 7 triples, which is you're not gonna see that. Oh, starting off with a
Nice quad.
Okay, quad though. Okay, that makes up for it. Okay, yeah, but due to the way the kills work, you're gonna want to end off at 33 kills because you can get a free scripted 7 kills at the end of the 4.
Dude, nhaar's good at this.
Yeah, there's getting lots of quads. Another. Oh, that was a triple.
Yeah, close. That's the annoying thing. Like, it's always kind of demoralizing to be on pace for a perfect hit and then just miss the last one by like a frame. I can't do it.
So far, nhaar's core is going pretty well. No triples yet, though. Even with the single, it's still okay because the quad happened.
Triples are relatively uncommon, though. It's an 18% chance to get a triple encounter at all. So with the number of encounters you go through, you expect to see, there you go, at least 1 triple encounter, but each one individually is not a very good chance to appear. But then again, neither are the singles, and he did get one of those, so 6% chance to get one, which means it'll always turn up.
For someone in chat, the game runs at 30 FPS, and you have 1 frame to hit the middle, so you have to, at 30 FPS, you have to hit 4 frame perfect hits in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I want the HD remaster of this game at 60 FPS where it is frame perfect so that we separate the real skilled gamers.
Everyone just probably swapped a gun if that was the case.
I mean, that's what I do. Gun's just better.
Yeah. I only run gun in
it's slower, but it's better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly comparable to compare like frame perfect tricks from different settings, since you get a pretty clear visual indicator here of what you're going for, and you can anticipate the cursor reaching the center.
It's honestly not as bad as it sounds. You can hit them pretty consistently.
Yeah, there's only so many random patterns for the cursors that the game can even generate. So, like, if you put like enough hours into practicing this, you can get it somewhat down to muscle memory, even just recognizing the patterns as they appear.
Oh, nice quad on the night there.
Yeah, that was very good.
And
Close.
going for a weaker hit there because it'll kill faster.
Radu having a bit of a rougher time with his grind. This is clearly a random that he's on, and it's taking 3 hits to kill this Night.
If you do not get at least 1 triple on a Night, it can take up to 3 turns. Also, another triple on nhaar's side. That's really nice.
Yeah, nhaar's run has pretty much just been uniformly better the whole way through. Like, I think the RNG's just kind of treated him better the entire way, as far as I've been able to tell, which just, unfortunately, it kind of just works out like that sometimes, that you're going to be up against someone and your RNG is just not up to scratch.
So, I'm gonna take a guess that nhaar is at either 30 or 31 kills right now.
He probably, after getting the triple there, I don't know, he might just need 1 left. I wouldn't be surprised if he spares this astigmatism.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
telling you, dude. I always know the situation.
So this is Warrior's Path. It's going to be 7 script encounters in a row. It's going to be a Whimsalot final frogget, a Night in Magic, and then it's going to end off with a triple.
Yeah. So it's much faster to save these scripted encounters for the end, so you don't have to deal with the increased encounter rate. And this is the last important quads that he's going to need to go for. Let's get it.
Oh.
Okay. Just don't get a quad this turn. Just don't do that.
Get on the
'Cause
magic.
that feels really bad.
Okay.
Alright.
Now you can get on the magic.
Tennis as he gets it.
There you go.
I'm telling you, dude. I can predict exactly what's going to happen. He is going to get 1 quad in this fight. See, there's 1 miss.
It's gonna be on the Astig because it's gonna.
No, it's going to be on the Whimsalot.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm calling out the Astig as much this. Oh. It's on the Whimsalot for sure. Your God Draco. Or if it's on no one. It was on no one. Right. Okay, and that's gonna be the
You betrayed me. Oh, that's actually, he still needs an encounter. He hasn't got, nobody came.
Oh?
Yeah, whoops, that's a miscount on his part then.
Maybe I was right about being at 30 then.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he should have taken that last enemy then. That's really uncommon. But, I mean, it can happen. It's easy for you just to, your mind to be elsewhere, and then you forget which enemy you're on, and yeah, miscalculation like that can happen.
You're getting a triple.
Not bad. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, the miscalculation happened to me earlier today in Snowden in my race, where I was at 14 kills and I ended up fulling when I got a double, so I didn't get 1 more encounter. But it's pretty common to miscalculate.
Yeah. He probably does not need all 3 of those kills, but he might just be thinking, alright, taking no chances, just make sure I'm at the kill limit. Which means I hope he is at the kill limit, otherwise this is going to abort Genocide.
Let's just hope for the best here.
I will be shocked if a run is lost by doing this by accident. Yeah, that's the right damage.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, if you enter Metaton Neo without actually being at the kill limit and killing like that, that just straight up aborts the Genocide route. You fail the run if you do that.
that's what
So.
That's what any percent glitchless does.
Mm.
This is gonna be a long elevator. Does anyone have any cool music mods? No, just the regular elevator. So upcoming is gonna be Flowey Tale. It's just gonna be lots of mashing up until Sans, about 3 minutes long.
Lots of very weird mashing because the way the game pulls the inputs is different in this specific section for some reason. You can just like go crazy on the keys rather than use the rhythmic piano mashing method. Radu, meanwhile, looks like he's coming up to the end of his own grind. He's in the adjoining room between the bridge and the warrior path, which typically means final random encounter. But again, I mean, we thought the same thing with nhaar, so wait and see, I suppose.
So this is just all mashing here. Usually in a regular run that's not Genocide, you would have a bunch of other like monsters coming and telling you a story, but and also all that's unskippable, but we have Flowey here, so it's all skippable.
Alright, he's at full HP. Come on, do the thing. Enter the fight without saving. Do it. Go big or go home. Saves like 1 second to enter the fight without a save.
It saves you from walking to the left, so it's faster. I think nhaar saved earlier in New Home. Like it's like sort of faster because you walk past it instead of walking over to it and then walking back.
Yeah, I'm gonna heal at New Home if I'm at low health, but I'm not gonna save. But I'm not gonna be at low health because I'm gonna do core without taking any hits.
I'm gonna do the entire run without taking any hits in my later matches.
I still need to do a no-hit Genocide at some point. As far as I know, there's never been a no-save, single-segment, no-hit Genocide. So I want to knock that off my list at some point.
Yeah, nhaar is walking right into Judgment Hall without saving. So this is gonna be the Sans fight. Probably everyone's favorite part about the run. It's an auto-scroller basically, and we equip the ballet shoes for this fight because ballet shoes has the second fastest attack animation. The weapon with the fastest attack animation is actually slower to get, or we can't re-equip it as it's the toy knife, the knife, and the stick. So we just equip ballet shoes because it has second fastest. So basically all the attacks in this fight are all scripted, except there is some RNG attacks later on in the second phase, but they're still all really easy to avoid. It's most optimal to go through this fight without healing at all.
Good start.
It's a beautiful day outside.
No! nhaar, why?
Alright, how do we change audio?
In this game, music mods are allowed, so nhaar felt like putting on Stronger Than You.
Bad meme. So yeah, as with the Undyne fight, it's you'd like to expect that runners can reliably do this fight without healing, but you know, like it's a tall ask. It is not easy to do this fight without healing.
Oh,
So,
Radu's audio isn't usable, so we're stuck with Stronger Than You.
Alright, so although most of the attacks in the first phase are like randomly generated, or rather they're not randomly generated, there's random elements to how they work, such as the placement of certain elements of attacks, so you can still get caught off guard pretty badly, or like make a reflexive mistake, and all it takes is a couple of mistakes in this fight to suddenly be put in a very bad position, because ultimately you can only afford to contact Sans' attacks for like up to 100 frames total across the fight, assuming you're not healing. And that includes in the menus during the second phase where the bones start intruding on the menu. But if you menu through them as quickly as possible, you'll take absolutely minimal damage to it. If you're perfect through the menuing, you take no damage at all. Thank God.
Okay, so nhaar choosing not to heal in the intermission. So nhaar is basically going for no heal stance, or it just saves a bit of time. Being at like over half health is like pretty much what you want going into phase 2. I honestly find phase 2 to be easier than phase 1.
I agree, yeah. I mean, some of these random attacks, like these Gaster Blasters, can really troll you with the positioning sometimes, but for the most part, a lot of these attacks are pretty trivial to dodge, especially the 4-directional attack where he slams you against the walls. If you try and manually dodge it, it can be very challenging, but for any keyboard with like anti-ghosting, just holding all 4 of the directional keys will also jump you at the start of each of these phases, and it's pretty much impossible to get hit by this.
Yeah, see how nhaar is like barely moving except when going up and down. nhaar is holding all 4 arrow keys now.
Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On
Yeah, going pretty strong.
Or else friend, you're gonna have a bad time. Because like you don't play by the rules. And guys like me, it ain't easy to be played. So let's go, dirty brother killer. Go ahead and try to
Yeah, that's fine. It's minor hit.
I can tell you're getting really sick of trying.
So, last opportunity for nhaar to make a mistake here.
It's the final attack.
Looking pretty good so far, but like I say, all it takes is one little slip up.
The final attack, the Gaster Blasters are like if you get caught in the middle of the Gaster Blasters, you die extremely fast. So you just really don't want to get hit in this attack here.
Close, but that is going to be good enough for sure. So GG's to nhaar. This is pretty much a guaranteed win at this point.
nhaar has won. There's really nothing that can happen to nhaar to make him lose now. The whole rest of the run is just waiting for text to go by.
Now, normally I would say that there is still an opportunity for nhaar to lose the run by walking into the border of the box too quick before Sans falls asleep, but he honestly has like such a considerable lead here that, you know, even that's not going to change the result at this point. Maybe he's got time to go back to the Burger Emporium. Like, you can just backtrack down there. I'm not sure if the elevator is active at this point. It might be. I'd go back and talk to Burger Pants. Burger Pants is honestly the best NPC in this game, so do that.
Most realistic NPC.
Sorry, little buddy, I can't go to hell. I'm all out of vacation days. Radu taking the halfway heal here to just give himself the maximum reserves for the second half. Pretty good start so far, though. Yeah, there's really not too much to say at this point. I apologize.
Here, I'll say something when it happens.
I'm pretty sure like the Undertale way is to just make really tired, overused memes about the game, right? Like, huh, these guys are fighting Sans and are gonna have a real bad time. Such a funny meme.
And now Sans is dead. I'm crying right now. Sans would never. But yeah, that's basically the end of the run. There's really like nothing you can do to save time after that, except maybe have some like somewhat. I think there's a little bit of text smashing before you talk to Asgore, and then it's just all in simple text.
Basically, yeah. I mean, even the fixed rate text boxes, you can still waste frames on not advancing them as soon as they finish displaying, but it's really, really negligible at that point. Yeah, maybe Radu can still win if his text smashing is good enough. Maybe.
Gotta make up those frames.
And 43. All right. He's 1 minute 43 behind my PB, so I'm gonna see if I can do a bit of mental math and figure out his finishing time. So 107.32, I think, is his pace, which is actually pretty damn good. Oh no, 108.32. Ignore me. Yeah, 108.32. I was gonna say that's much better than I thought, but I think it's 108.32 is his current pace.
Also, Radu finishing up the Sans fight here. Does anyone here know if Radu is on PB pace or not?
Oh yeah, he's finished it. Yeah, and I think someone said that he doesn't actually have a time on the leaderboards, so I don't know if he's on PB pace. If that's the case,
This might be a first run. Yeah, Radu does not have a time.
terrible.
Not even
Unseeded player throwing the seeding, making this a farce, inaccurate. How do we know that this is a fair match if we don't know the seeding?
I can't believe Radu would do this.
Terrible. Yeah, I'll go with the 108.32.
108.32.
And then I'm going to win the tournament by guessing it correctly. Well, alright, well, give or take a couple of seconds due to, like I say, text mashing and stuff, because I'm going off my own splits, so...
I'm going with a 108.33.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm waiting to see also if he actually goes for erase or do not, because I personally always go for do not, even though it wastes a very, very slight amount of time to go for it. But jump scare is the best ending.
Yeah. It's also great when you're doing marathon runs or races because, you know, just have the audience.
Exactly. Oh, it's getting close. It's coming out of the wire. I told you, dude. I told you. Didn't I tell you?
It was 0.5 away from each of our answers, basically.
Smack in the middle as well. The most exact middle 108.32 possible. And you picked the best ending. Congratulations. That is the correct decision.
Will be getting a win in their
Yeah, big congratulations to nhaar for that win.
I want to say pools, but that's a different type of tournament. We're doing stages.
Oh, man, I've got to play tomorrow. I'm too tired for this.
You should get some sleep. What time is it?
Yeah, but
now?
I'm always tired. Je suis très fatigué.
Isn't it almost like 1 a.m. for you?
Yeah, but this is a normal time for me. I'm probably going to be up until like 6 a.m.
Oh my.
Probably until like 8 a.m. to be honest. We'll see.
So, nhaar taking the win.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if at this point is going to be joining us in here for a quick interview. I'm not
There's
entirely
no
sure.
time apparently.
Oh yeah. I mean,
As,
there was a delay. That makes sense.
Yeah, we have a Zelda 1 randomizer coming as soon as Radu finishes. I believe there is more races that are going to be happening. Or like, there's actually another one like happening right now.
Ooh. Yeah, as I say, GG's for sure to nhaar. And of course, good effort to Radu as well, getting through in still a relatively prompt fashion. There's not obviously too many people who can claim to be able to do this category within like, approximately like the hour and a quarter mark. It's, not easy for anyone.
There's exactly 2 other races going on right now, actually. On SpeedGaming 2 and 3, there is, we have Lori versus Yisk and Samuel versus Link.
All right, well, I guess I'll go over there and judge them. Oh man, he's in here anyway. We can't do it. I'm sorry. It's not possible. Congratulations on winning.
Well,
You're good.
anyway, congratulations, you have a win stage now.
I just came to,
You did it.
I just came to say hi since we're not gonna have time to do the thing.
Trivia.
Yeah, so
Trivia.
yeah, go head over to SpeedGaming 2 or 3 if you want more races. Or if you're
What?
interested in running the game, come join the Discord. Yeah.
Yes, do what was suggested. I agree.
Yeah, should I end the stream?
I mean, let's see Radu's finishing time first. He's like,
Oh yeah, I forgot Radu's still going. yeah.
Wow, dude.
I know nhaar came like, oh wait, is it done? I mean, I'm just like thinking, well, like, oh, we're running out of time.
It'll be like within like a minute. It's fine.
Right, we still have.
I realized the purpose of my reincarnation. Power. Together, we eradicated the enemy and became strong.
I'm not going to keep doing that.
So I think this will be a PB for Radu as well, because they don't have a time on the boards.
Not bad, not bad.
It's going to be a 112. That's a pretty good first time, if I say so myself.
And nhaar himself, pretty close to a PB. A very, very respectable showing. Yeah, that is it. That is, I mean, the timer hasn't stopped, but that is the end of the run. So I believe that is going to be a wrap from us. So thank you guys very much for joining. As mentioned, if you want to see more Undertale right now, then feel free to pop over to SpeedGaming 2 and 3. Probably where I'll be going right now, just to judge people. And we'll be seeing you, well, I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, because I've got a race myself tomorrow, which I'm going to do at least a little bit of warm-up for. It's only fair, right?
Good luck with that.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to take my leave just now, and I'll be seeing you guys when I see you. Thanks again for joining us.